Hello, welcome to the neurodivergent version of the holiday safety and consent and boundaries for your autistic, ADHD, or otherwise neurodivergent child. So listen to the first one because it's, or for the all kids one because it is just more general. So I just want to talk to you about body boundaries in your neurodivergent kid and the holidays. So I know you're in this thick of this with parenting, and as you know, or you don't know if this is the first time listening to me, I'm not neurodivergent. Nobody in my family is neurodivergent. I don't have a lived experience of being with a neurodivergent child. Although I'm not saying he's a child, but my spouse actually is dyslexic, and we did not know that was a neurodivergence until I started working with people like you. Anyway, so with your kid in the holidays, as you know, this can get them super riled up. Either they need to go hide in a corner or they get really crazy and hyper because they are super stimulated and overstimulated. And so I know you know this, so they can have a couple different things happen to them that are extreme, and both can make them vulnerable. So let's talk about the kiddo that's bouncing off the walls because you're at a family party, they're just grooving on everybody, they're having a super fun time, there's lots of kids, there's lots of action, and what can happen for a kid like this is if they are already curious about bodies, they can be more likely to try to explore another child's body or to jokingly slap them on the butt or to make an inappropriate comment. So I'm telling you this because this can be something that can get your kid in trouble. Now, one of the things I hate about your world and what I've learned about neurodivergent people really is how those kinds of moments where they're more impulsive about exploring a body or they say something that's not okay is assumed to intend harm. And most of the time, that is not the case. They don't get social cues. They get wrapped up in their crazy behavior, their fun behavior that they're up to, and they aren't able to stop and think through, like, oh, if I do this, I could get in trouble. So one thing to be mindful is of that. Like, you know your kid, you know what they've been up to, you know who they've been hanging out with. And so just know that, in this overstimulated environment of a holiday party, your kid could become more impulsive, and this could be one of the things that happens. Okay, so I'm going to talk about adults in just a second. So if you have a child that is very overwhelmed by this, that does not want to be around this stuff, that needs to have headphones and be in a quiet space, and it is basically kind of a torture for them to be in a situation like this, which I know sometimes they just need to be. So if you have a child that has very much retreated or needs to retreat, it's really important to make sure that they are in a space where an adult can have an eye on them. We don't want them in a closed bedroom. We don't want them in a place where they can be left alone, because if there is somebody who is a predator, they're going to go find your kid. Excuse me. And because your kid has trouble, we might have trouble reading social skills, their verbal skills might not be great. It's much easier for them to be manipulated by someone. And I said this in the other one, but strangers are not going to mess with your kid. It's going to be someone that they know. And kid to kid sexual abuse is really high. I keep forgetting the stat, probably because I don't want to know it, but it's like 60%. And so being aware of your child, like the child that is really can't stand this, they're vulnerable. And then the other way your child that's totally all over the map can be vulnerable is that somebody can see that and just take advantage of it. Like, this kid's already making jokes about boobs. Well, I'm just going to push on them and see how far I can get them to go. All right, so fun. I know. Happy holidays. I'm not done. So with the adults in the room, depending on who you're with, like if you're with your family, it's really important that they understand that if your kid is really overstimulated by this stuff and they're in a poop joke phase, that's what's happening, and that you are going to keep an eye on them and remind them of the boundaries around this stuff. I know that adults in your life don't often believe that your child can, like, they think that they can help their behavior. We all know that they can't necessarily. So just making sure the adults know what's up with your kid, making sure they know that, like, hey, my kid's a little more vulnerable because they don't want to be here. So I know it seems weird, but we got them over here in the closet. Just kidding. Got them here, got the door open. We're going to be checking on them. Because I think the more awareness you raise about their vulnerability can be really good. On the other hand, if there's somebody who's a predator, well, on the good hand, if there's somebody who's a predator, when you say, oh, we're well aware and we're keeping an eye on, they're going to be like, okay, I'm not going to mess with that kid. They're paying attention. If you're in a circumstance with a child that is very busy and, you might have a hugger, right? You might have a kid that just hugs and touches everyone. That kid is going to need to be having some communication about boundaries and practicing, the ask first rule and all that. And you need to tell the other parents, like, we've got this, we're keeping an eye because we know our kids just loves to hug without asking permission, right? And then you're going to be there. Now, that's exhausting. So this is why we have trustworthy adults who can manage your kiddo if that's what they're up to, who you trust, and who's keeping an eye on all the kids, right? It takes a village. Does anybody have a better way to say that? I mean, it's really true. Anyway, I'm talking fast. What else? I need to go meet my friend for a drink in 5 minutes. I think that's it. So just be mindful that your ADHD or your autistic kiddo, your whatever the neurodivergence is that's going on, they're always going to be more vulnerable. And so you're going to need to step it up in terms of just keeping an eye on them and conversations about safety and body boundaries, more so than with the neurotypical kid, which isn't to say they're not at risk. They are. Anyway, I hope this was helpful. Let me know if you're liking this. I think I said in the other one, I just bang these out. Who's funny? That would be me. The other one, somebody gave me feedback and said they really like this because everything's so fake and AI now, and I'm not. Anyway, let me know if you want me to talk about something new, something else. Let me know how this is working for you. If I have said something that you're like, is not quite up to snuff with the neurodivergence, tell me. Okay. And birdsandbeesandkids.com, lots of things to do there. More podcasts all over the place with Just Say This, stuff on YouTube. Links are all in the linky spots. Okay. Thanks. Good luck. We've got this. Happy holidays.